Well, good morning, everybody. Oh, wow. I thought I would embrace. This is the last, this is my last live of 2024. So I thought I would embrace the Christmasness and have the Christmas hat on and say, you know, let's embrace the season. How are we all doing on this lovely, very wet and grey in Bristol? Very wet and grey Bristol weather in the UK. So yeah, how are we all doing? Let's have a little hello. Let's see what everyone's up to, and yeah, what's the weather like where you are? I'll give you all just a little moment to come on in and say hello. Be nice to see you all. If you are here, just come and say hi. Let me know what your plans are. Do we have anything nice planned for the weekend? Big question. Because it is Friday. Yay! Which means that we just have like literally what 2 weekends left now before Christmas, which is crazy, isn't it? Really. Hi, Carol. How are you? Hope things are good. Yeah, come on in. Come and say hi. I'm just getting my little bits ready. Let's see. Okie dokie. So we've got a really lovely project for today. We have got the lovely, some nice wire work this morning, a little bit of cabochons, a little bit of wire, nice and easy project. Good morning, Mina. Good morning, Jan. Jan says, good morning, Laura. I'm beading family from a dull Sudbury. Yeah, it isn't raining, but it has been raining. And it's quite grey and dull out. Yeah, actually, that's a really good way to describe the weather today. Grey and dull. I do have my little snoring buddy down here. Oh, that's annoying. Just hide that. That's not what that was. But yeah. Good morning, Camille. Dull and damp again. Indeed, it is dull and damp. So I thought I'd try to add a little bit of sparkle. I have my little Christmas hat. My Christmas tree earrings are in today. So, last live of 2024. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, all. Very grey in Coventry, just getting over a nasty bug, so a relaxing day for me. Oh, well, I take it steady, rest up, and get better. There are lots and lots of bugs going around at the moment. I know so many of my friends who are all just being hit with these bugs. It's just doing the rounds 100%. Good morning, Rextrion, everyone. They are back. It's a dull, dank day, according to Jan. It is. So let's brighten it up with some nice, fun, easy jewelry making. I've got some lovely cabochons for today. So I'll pop the camera over so you can see exactly what we do have planned for today. We've got some lovely sort of like they're almost like little pebbles of gemstones. They're really gorgeous. So I am going to bring the camera over and show you. Good morning, Fee. Elaine. Sorry, I just saw your name. I just saw Elaine Fee. Good morning. Hope you're all well. Okay, so we do have some cabochons today. Now, the idea of these cabochons are that you can just keep them nice and simple and have them plain on the back. A couple of slightly different ways of maybe doing the bail if you wanted to have a slightly more detailed bail. Or you can, of course, just have them so that they're reversible. Nice and simple, nothing too complex. Simple, easy, but they're mirrored on both sides. And then again, we have this lovely sort of jasper here. And again, just a little bit of decoration so it doesn't matter which side it is worn on. And so it's just a really lovely way to get comfortable with wire work. If you've already done wire work, if you're confident, it's actually just a fun project. Sometimes you just forget how lovely it is to revisit these designs. Clear and cold in South Georgia. Right, it's Sharon. Right, it's because I see the first part. So hi, Sharon. And so I love that it's Sharon and Jackson. My son's name is Jackson. So this is the project for today. So I'm going to go on over to the website and show you exactly how you can get your hands on the materials to make this. So let's go on over, as always, to totallybeads.co.uk. Okay, and then we're going to scroll down and find the video tutorials. As always, our social media links are here. And if we just go down here, we've got the gemstone oval wire cabochon. So you'll see here that you've got your video tutorial, which is what we're filming now. Sorry. So Sharon says, I'm just reading what you said. I've 102 pairs of earrings made. I haven't made any more. I've been busy with pecans. That sounds amazing, Sharon. 102 pairs of earrings is awesome. Are you intending to sell them? Your nephew's name is Jackson. I'll tell you a fun story about that in a moment, Sharon, with the way that your nephew's name is spelt with the Jaxson. So when Jackson was born, well, when we were pregnant with Jackson, we always said we were going to call our son. We decided on the name was going to be Jackson if it was a boy, and it was going to be Roxanne if it was a girl. And so I wanted the spelling to be different, and I had said Jaxson. And when we actually had him, and we was like, it's a boy, so it was Jaxson. And then my husband and my mum just went, do we need the S? Can we not just have Jaxon? And I was like, I don't care, because just had this baby. So we took the S out, and he's actually Jaxon. So he's Jackson without the S. But he was originally on his little welcome card, you know, my name is. So it was Jackson. Fee says, Fee again did it again. Elaine says, it's okay, Laura. When I worked in school, the kids called me Fee. Oh, you love crosses too. Oh, yeah, there's a good cross project coming up as well. You give your earrings away. Oh, that's lovely of you. Seems Jackson is a popular name at the moment. My great nephew is Jackson too. Yeah, but also again, straight away, there's 3 different spellings there, isn't there? Which I think is great. I think it keeps you on your toes. I've been making snowflake tree decoration. Let me just put this onto silent. I've been making snowflake tree decorations and icicles for my tree too. Oh, amazing. Oh, hi Anastasia, how are you? Sending lots of peace and love. Oh, well, we have been making some wire decorations as well. Actually, we were doing that in the bead club yesterday, snowmen, trees, and we've done robins as well, so that's been really fun. Wow, okay, so let's go back on over to the website and let's have a little look at what we've got. So we've got our pendant here. So you've got it in your 3 different versions. You've got your rose quartz, your red jasper, or your rose black obsidian. And these are, let me just see. So you get your pendant, you're going to get your black obsidian gemstone oval pendant, and you're going to get some 1 mil wire and some 0.4 mil wire as well. So these are beautiful focal stones. Now let's just go back on over. You get your black obsidian. Now these are $7.99. You get your red jasper, and then of course you get your rose quartz. So you can see these 3 beautiful kits here. So you get some 1 mil wire with this, and you get your 0.4 wire as well. And of course, you get your tuition. So let's go ahead and have a little look at what we've got. Now, these gemstones are absolutely beautiful. And obviously, they're all going to be a little bit different, you know, because that's the nature of gemstones. So, but just look at very sizable as well. Let me just see if it does tell me measurements of these pendants. So it doesn't tell me the measurements, but I can have a quick look at the measurement. Bear with me. Let's just measure it. Let's just do this. So the pendants themselves are probably about 4.5 centimeters. 4.5 centimeters long, and they are just under 3.5 centimeters wide. So these are lovely focal gemstones that we have here. And again, as you can see, you've got your sort of more opaque rose quartz one here. So they're all going to look a little bit different. This one is a little bit more pinky. This one's a little bit more dispersed. You have your black obsidian here, and of course you have your jaspers. And your jaspers are going to have those markings on them as well. Okay.
I'm just seeing you're just having a little chat about the snowflake decorations. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how we can take these cabochons and turn them into these lovely reversible pendants. Now, you can do these in either setting. You can set them up in sort of like your portrait setting, which is the more classic, I guess, or you can, of course, set them in this different direction. Now, I just thought I would change it up a little bit and go for it being set in a different direction, because we very often see cabochons that are being set in the more portrait setting. And so I just thought it would be quite nice to just change it up a little bit, set them in the landscape so that they're sort of looking more like so. Okay, and then you can have a bit of fun with these as well with your decorations. So as I said here, there's a couple of options. We'll talk about this when it comes to it, how you can do some weaving. And what I've actually done is in this kit, there is actually enough wire. If you are confident in wire weaving, you could do some extra wire weaving into this if you wanted to and add detail. But I want to keep it quite nice and simple. I want to make it a really nice kind of beginners kind of project, and so I have kept it just no weaving, but you do have enough wire in the kit that if you wanted to do some weaving decorations, you can of course do that. So because you can bring wire weaving down to here and you can have a lot of fun with this, and I always try to encourage just having a bit of fun and just having a go and see what happens. So you're going to get your 1mm wire. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the gold because you'll be able to see the gold nice and clearly. And I'm going to go with the black and gold because it's a beautiful combination. And again, you're going to see nice and clearly what I am doing. So I've got my wire, and then we also have the 0.4 as well to do some weaving. So I'm just going to take my wire now. I've made this a little bit kinked. So I'm just going to quickly straighten this, see if I can find my straighteners. I'm just going to straighten this wire out. When you are doing something like this, when you are doing a project, oh, totally hit my camera lens, sorry. When you are doing a project like this, you do need your wires to be nice and straight and not to have kinks in them because they're very on display. And so if this wire was kinked, it would show in your design. So you do want that wire to be nice and straight. I'm just using my nylon pliers and just running that along my wire so that it takes out any of those kinks. And that's just because I wrapped mine up into a bit of a tight coil, so it's just needing to be straightened out. Okay, when it comes to things like measurements with a project like this, one thing to consider is I'm not really a person that measures. I kind of say I'll look at my piece and I'll place my stone and I'll think, okay, well, I need this wire to go all the way around it, and I would like some wire just either side to be able to do my bail and my decoration or weaving. If I was going to be doing lots of weaving, I might make that wire a little bit longer, but I would like there to be enough that I'm able to go around the whole of the gemstone and also have some wire to play about with the bail and stuff. So I tend to just allow that extra. If I said there's my sort of, if I knew the circumference of my stone, I probably would leave about, I don't know, 10 inches. Is that about 10 inches? Maybe not. Yeah, about 9 inches of wire to play about with a bail. Hi, Judith. So that's my general rule is I'll pop the cabochon in and I'll just bring that wire around and I'll think, right, okay, I have enough for that to go over there and still have some left to do my bail. So I'm going to cut that. Okay, and that's probably going to have worked out to be about, again, we can measure 12, about 16 inches. Let's say 27. Yeah, about 16 inches, about 37, 40 centimeters. So I'm going to then take another 2 pieces. I want 3 pieces in total. So I'm just cutting this to measure 1 and 2. just make this wire nice and straight. Oh, lots of love coming from Anastasia there. Okay, so I'm just bringing this wire around, and there's my third. So I have my 3 lengths of wire. Okay, and I want them all nice and straight so that they'll be able to do what I want them to do. Okay. I'm just having a quick look at the messages. Oh, it's so lovely to see everybody being so lovely and welcoming to each other. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just bring these wires together, and I want to find roughly the middle of these wires. Come up a tiny bit, you'll see. And I'm holding them all nice and flat together. And I'm going to just take a little bit of my 0.4, and I'm going to bind these together, and I want them to stay nice and flat. So what will happen is I'm going to do 3 wraps on this one piece of wire spaced out, and that's going to be my joins for casing my stone. But what I need to do is I need to make sure that all of the wires, all of the cut wires, are all on the same side. So I'm going to start off by popping my wire just onto the middle, and I'm going to just wrap. Now I'm keeping them nice and flat. And you can take your pliers and just flatten it as you go along. Where's my pliers? So just give that a little flatten. So I tend to do sort of like 1, 2, and 3 wraps. See the difference between them being flattened and before they're flattened? So I will just take the pliers again and give them a little crunch, bring them around so that tidies them up. And so really for something like this, visually, I mean, as a function, you don't need much more than this wrap wise, but the rest of it then is up to you as a sort of a design feature, should we say. So I'll take you back to this piece here. So I've got mine, probably I'd say it's about 1 centimetre, maybe just over 1 centimetre of wrapping just in that middle section. But that will obviously have an effect on where my sort of securing sides are. Now, if you wanted, you could wrap all the way to sort of like a big, almost the whole bottom section, and then just have smaller angles. So, you know, it's very adaptable in a design. But a lot of it's just visual after this. So I'm going to do probably about 1 centimetre, as I said. So I'm just bringing this wire around. Okie dokie. So just straightening it up. So I'm just bringing it with my pliers, and I'm just flattening it. And you notice I'm just sort of bringing it together so it sits together nicely, because you want this to look nice and neat. So I'm just doing a couple more wraps, going around. Okay, and then flattening and bringing it around. There we go. Just do a couple more. And remember, I want my wires to finish on the same side, which will be facing me, facing the camera. Okay, so I've got that. And then what I'm going to do is just lift my wire slightly, and I'm going to cut it so it's sort of halfway across the 3 wires. You can see, but that's just been cut there, so that when I push this wire down, I'll hopefully see if we can get it up close enough for you to see. That cut wire doesn't go past the edge of the 3 wires. And that is quite important when you do designs like this. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So I'm just lifting up the other end quickly. And again, I'm going to cut that so it goes just sort of halfway, three quarters of the way across. And it is quite important that you make sure there is a little bit of a gap, because these wires can twist sometimes through where, and the last thing you do, Sharon's got to go, no problem. I hope you have a lovely day, Sharon, and we'll see you again soon. I probably won't see you on a Facebook Live until next year now. So I hope you have a lovely Christmas and New Year. So what I'm doing is if I turn this around onto the other side, it's going to look nice and neat. And then on the side, I've done the cuts. Now, the next two sections that I add, I want to make sure that all of my cut wires are all done on that same side. They will then sit inside against the cabochon, and it means then that there's no risk of those edges coming up. But the other reason, as I said, that I like to make sure that they're not quite at the edge is just in case any kind of wear, sometimes that little sharp edge can nudge out. So if you cut it close enough, then there's no risk of that happening. So I'm going to place this in here, and you can place it and have a little look. Now, the good thing about this is they will move. These little sections will move. Okay. So I'm going to then make sure that is central as I want it to. Excuse me. And I'm going to then add the other two. Oh, sorry, I'm just drinking a little bit of coffee. And so again, placing that wire on, I'm just going to go up a couple of centimeters because I know I'll be able to move this. I'm going to wrap a couple of times. Now this, when I do the two side wraps, I tend to count. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Why do I count? Because I want these two side bits to be equal. They don't have to match the same size as the centerpiece, but it does look good if they do need to be the same sort of size on the side, because otherwise it would be quite obvious if one was smaller or larger than the other. So that's why we do that. And then I'm going to just lift and snip, lift and snip, and then just give that a little crunch, and I've tidied that up. That's fine. Okay. And then over to the opposite side, and remember this should be able to move, which you can, so that's great. And so I'm going to go over to the other side, and I'm just going to do the same again. So I'm going to wrap 10 times. So I'm going to go probably about 1 inch. Make sure your wires are nice and flat, and also make sure they're all staying nice and flat together. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was tie up. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice and tidy. Give it a little crunch. And then just cut those edges. So it just helps with that continuity. And give it a little flatten. And then all your cut edges should all be on that same inside. And when you turn it over, it's going to look nice and neat. Okay, so I'm going to place this up against my piece now. And I can start to get an idea of if they're in the right placement. Now, what you do want is them to be slightly lower. So I'm going to just take a ring mandrel. Now, you can take anything that will give you these curves. So if I'm thinking I just want to get that kind of curve to shape that, so I can get an idea of exactly where those side sections are going to sit, I can straighten this back up in a moment. So I'm only giving it like a gentle curve. So it gives me an idea. Okay, and so what I want is to buddy these down a little bit. I bring you down. See how, if I want them to sort of sit here and here, I'm going to bring them down a tiny bit. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that when I pull out the corners here, these will naturally move up. So if you plan them to be in the right place and then you pull out the corners, they'll move up higher. So I want them to be slightly lower, so that when I pull out the corners, they're going to sit, hopefully, ideally, where I want them to. So I can straighten this back out again now, very gently. Happy with that placement. And this is probably the trickiest part of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just use my thumb. Notice why it is lovely and soft, which is really great because it means that this bit isn't going to be too tricky. I'm going to just slightly open this out. Oh, I'll break my nails as well while I'm at it. Doesn't do your nails any favor. And I'm just going to come in with my pliers just into that middle. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just pull, and it's going to go out like a little sort of triangle, and I'll do the same on the other side. Slightly widen it out with your fingers or your nails. Get your pliers into that middle of that section and just bend your hands, just pull in. That's going to bring that up. So instantly that's going to have moved. And then I want to do the same on the other side. Okay, so repeating the same on the other side. So just make sure that this hasn't adjusted itself. Open that out, get your pliers in and just give that a pull. You can adjust it a bit if you need to, which is great. You want them to look sort of the same. Okay, so that one's looking a little bit more pointed there. So I'm going to just kind of gently flatten that a little bit with my pliers and move that across a bit further. That's a little bit better. So what I'm doing, if I need to adjust it, is I'm just using my pliers to flatten that wire down a little bit and then just reposition that bend. There we go, that's better. And then the same on that other side. So this wire is really lovely and malleable, so it doesn't give up too much of a fight. And there you go, got like a little bow tie. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is, this is going to sound a little bit mad, but there's a method to my madness, okay? I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and what I'm going to do is, these are all laying flat. I'm going to put my pliers in, sort of just gently roll. It's only minor, but what that's doing is starting to curve these little points, these little bows, so that when we put our cabochon in, it's just going to hug the stone a little bit easier. Okay, so same on the other side. So just taking the top of that, just gently, just very gently, it just starts to curve that wire. Just rotated that around to fit better. There we go. Right, so we have these in place. I'm just going to take this moment just to tidy this wire up because it got a little bit distorted. There we go, perfect. And then I'm going to go into my stone, and what I'm also doing is just pushing those little wraps down to make sure they're nice and in place. Everything's as it should be, using my hand to manipulate that. Okay, so that's all sitting as it should, that's sitting as it should. Okay, now the next bit's going to sound a little bit crazy, okay, but trust me, on each side when you open them out, you've got 3 wires, a center wire and the 2 outer wires. The 2 outer wires, I'd like you to just bring them down into the middle. So looks a little bit weird at the moment. There's your wraps at the bottom. The 2 out wires are going into the inside and the middles are going up. When you pop your stone in, you're going to sort of crunch it all together, and you're going to sort of make sure that that center strip is in the middle of the stone, and we're going to just try and get this all held in place now. Probably the trickiest part. We're just going to bring this in and pinch, and we can mold this better in a moment. We just want to get it held into place. Stop those wire wraps from going where they shouldn't. Okay, and that's going to go up and around. But the reason I pull these down at this stage is because it helps to keep it into place, but it also helps with the second stage where we tie it together. It gives a good sharp shape to it as well. So just keeping it nice and steady. So what I've done is I've taken those sort of outer wires on both sides and I'm pulling it down. Okay, now we can really mold everything into where it should be. Make sure it's sitting how we want it to sit. Now see, even then these have risen up quite high, so if I was probably had more time, I may maybe just retweak that a little bit, but we'll work with this. Okay, so you can see what I meant about how they can go up quite high. Okay, starting to stabilize a bit now. Okay, so we've got this into place. It's held into place. Held into place, and the back side, the back here has gone a little bit skew with, but we'll tidy that up afterwards. We'll be able to take our pliers and bring that back around, and bring that back around. There we go. I just really want to just try and buddy this down just the smallest of bits. There we go. So lots of little tweaks, little movements. Okay, what we now want to do, make sure we're happy. The biggest thing I'd focus on is this wrap in the middle being centered. Okay, take the 2 wires that were the single wires around the top, and you see they're crossing. So just to clarify, the 2 center wires, one either side, it's one center wire, one either side, just going on the edge of that. When you want to line it up roughly in the center, those wires have crossed, and what we're going to do is just take our hand and very carefully we're going to do a twist to lock that into shape. We'll do another little twist as well. It's fine to do a little bit of a twist because we'll use that to wrap all of these wires around. Give it a little adjustment. And just make sure that that wire is sitting around the edge of that cabochon. Okay, so these did go up a little bit higher than I would have liked, but again, if I was sort of taking my time with this properly and measuring this, I would make sure that that was sitting just that little bit further down. We might be able to wiggle it down a little bit, and then just using my pliers, just very gently pushing that down. There we go. Okay, so we've got that in place now. You just want to make sure it's all sitting as it should be. Okay, both sides. Now, the other reason I pulled these wires down as far as I did was because when it comes to doing this next bit, they have got that nice sharp angle. Okay, you can come in here. Now, when I'm adjusting these, I'm taking my pliers, go into that wire and just gently pull in. And the same way, what you want to try and do is make sure that those wires sit nice and around that stone and not sort of tip in either side. So I want that wrap to sit flush, not tip either side. And then again, I'm just going to make sure I'm happy with this. There we go, nice and snug. So that's your 2 sides done. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do now is just to take these sections here and bring these up. So I want it to mirror. So what I'm going to do is, I've got that nice and sharp, I kind of just hold it, look in your eye as to where it is mirroring on the lower section, and then just use your pliers just to bend that wire up. Now, I don't want to go across like this. You can, and what I'll do is I'll do one on one side to show you the difference. So if you go straight across and just wrap around that twist, what will happen is you'll get a cross at the top. It's pretty, but it won't mirror the bottom. Let me Camille says, Savannah's in her bed snoring, was waiting for her. She is absolutely snoring. Hello, baby. I was trying to do the bead club last night and she was really snoring, and I was recording and I was like, can you hear her? And everyone was like, nope. Okay, so I've then got this side to do here. So again, I'm going to mirror. What I want to do is show you the difference of going across or leaving that gap. So I'm going to bring this up in front of that bail and wrap around. So you will see visually the difference. So see, this will leave a gap. This will go straight across. Okie dokie. Same on the other side. Now what you'll notice is I did opposite sides. So I did the if I show it in this angle, I did this side and this side, so that it stabilizes the stone for me either side. So on this one, I'm going to come across, hold this, line it up, get that bend and go across. And every time I go in, I'm almost going underneath all those wires. And this is the effect you're going to get on that side. And you'll be able to straighten that wire out a little bit if you need to. There we go. So you see what I mean about how it crosses over here. And then if I come back over to this side, line this up, get that angle, and then remember, we don't go across, we go in front and then wrap that around, and there you'll get that mirrored look. And then you can still come in and you can just use your pliers, and I always use my pliers, almost push with my pliers rather than grab in. So use your pliers to shape and really just tweak that, and then you'll get that balanced look. Now with something like this, it can get a little bit overwhelming when you see all these wires up here, thinking, gosh, that's a lot of wires, I don't know what to do with that, especially if you're sort of new to wire work or you're getting your confidence up with wire work. So the top tip I can do is say, don't worry about it, deal with them one at a time. So even when I was adding these sides, I was doing one wire at a time. Now you've got all of these wires, but if you break it down, you'll see that you've got your two tail wires, which are the twistings from the front, and then you've got your pair from the side and a pair from the side. That's it. That's all you've got. If you decided you wanted to, let's say, do wire weaving, good morning, Angela. If you felt that you wanted to do wire weaving, or you're more confident with wire weaving, you could do a woven bail here. Your wires are perfectly in that position to do a woven bail. You could do some little weaves with these two wires here and bring them down and decorate each side, because it is effectively a reversible pendant. And remember, I did this just to show you the difference from doing it this way, which gives you that gap, and this way, which gives you that different look. You could kind of play about with this a little bit. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So that's just to show you those different ways. Try not to pull out when you do that initial twist with those two side wires. Try not to pull them too tight, otherwise it will slip over your stone. So I'm going to keep this nice and simple for you. I'm just going to explain with this one. All I've done on that one is taken those two wires here and wrapped them the same as we did these little sections here, and then rolled it around for a bail. But what we're actually going to do, I think, just to keep this really nice and simple, is show you, without doing any more weaving, how you can make this a nice easy bail. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you how you can kind of do this 3-wire twist here and bring those wires down. So what I'm doing is, remember we said we've got our pair, and our pair. I'm going to just take one of these wires. It's just the most natural placed wire. You can see it there. And I've brought that up to make 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you can use your bail making pliers, like your 6-step pliers, or if you've got bail making pliers in set sizes. And whichever size you want, I'm probably going to go for the largest, just because this is a sizable pendant. Okay, and I'm going to simply roll these down. I'm giving it a bit of a wiggle so that it's got that nice loop shape. Okay, and I'm going to keep it there like this. Then I'm going to take one of my wires and I'll look at them and think, which one? I'm going to take this one at the bottom, because that's going to be a good place to wrap and secure those wires, and brings it back. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Got my wires here. Now I'm then going to just kind of look at these and think, right, okay, how can I play about? I've got 3 wires on one side, and I can have 3 wires on the other side. The only difference is that this wire is coming from the back, not the front. So to switch that, what I could do is take this wire around, so that goes to the front with these, and then this wire that is from the back sweeps and joins those 3. So you have 3 wires on this side, and you have 3 wires on this side, and you have your bail. Now I'm going to just open that bail out now, and that's done. And what you do from now is really up to you. You could cut these wires and just do a little spiral either side to cover that, or I just like to do a little bit of swirling. So what I'm going to do is take 2 of the wires, the top 2 wires, and I'm going to take all 3, hold them nice and close to that stone, and just kind of gently, you may need to separate them down a little bit, bring them around into a nice swirl, and look, instantly covers everything. The only thing you have to be a bit careful of when you're doing that is keep an eye on that bail, because these wires are part of that bail, and if you pull too tight, it could kind of distort the shape. And then I like to sort of do stage by stage on each one. Sorry, this is the bail side. So again, just be careful when you're doing that. Maybe bring 2 around, and then the next one, 2 around, and then that one, so they still swirl. And then you've got those. Good morning, Yolanda. How are you? And then you have your wires on both sides. And again, just keep an eye on that bail. Make sure it doesn't distort. Make sure it's staying in that same size. Give it a little tidy up if you need to. And there are your, I'm just giving this a little adjustment. So you have wires either side, and then really it's up to you. You know, I always encourage saying, oh, let's see what happens if I bring that wire down to here and then down to here, and you can have a little bit of fun by hooking into these side wires. So if you wanted to, say for example, with this one here, I've really decorated down the side, and what I did was I actually used those side angles, those side sections here, to wrap and secure those wires so there's no loose loops that can pick up and catch. Or on this one, we just did simple little swirls that they're not secured, but they're very compact, so they're going to be absolutely fine. And they're just a little bit more simple. You could do one side one way and one the other. So let's maybe do this side a little bit more complex. So with this, I could kind of go, okay, cool, I'm going to bring this down. I mean, you could even separate down into 2 and go, okay, let's maybe do a little swirl with the 2 of them down like so, and then have them catch, and then I'll catch them under here. So I've just done that little swirl, and then I'm going to take the longer one. I always kind of work with the longest one first because you have a little bit more play. Gently lift up that side, use your pliers if needed, and then you can kind of just, can you see how that's looped nicely around? And then you can kind of go, okay, cool. And the other thing I would always say is, remember what I said about it is only wire at the end of the day. So my theory is, if I did this and I didn't like it, it's no big deal for me to cut that wire here and restart it, and then just go back to that original shorter design. So there's lots of options. It is quite important, if you are going to do swirls coming down, I feel, to make sure they are locked in some way to stop them catching. That's just that's just me, but that's something that I kind of am conscious of. So I'm then going to bring this one around and under. She says, well, it's going right through there now. That wasn't planned, but that's okay, we'll work with it. And that's just gone into there. So that's just that little swirl, and I actually think that looks quite nice actually. And then this one, I'm just going to take that last wire, maybe do a little loop there, and then think about how I can place this. So maybe have that coming up and over here, and then maybe just bringing this wire down. Want to go back through that same section, so maybe just bring that around one of the connected wires. Hi, Emmeline. Nice to see you. It's no problem. You can catch on the replay. That's not a problem. I'm just coming around like so and just seeing how that's going. And again, making sure I tidy that up. So maybe tuck that end underneath that wire so it's not going to get caught or scratch. Again, I always recommend just, you know, handling your piece, making sure that you feel it. Is there any catches? Is there any blood? No, we're good. So that's one side. Now this is like I said, I love the fact that you can make it, you know, both sided as such, reversible. So that would be one side. Now what you could do is just mirror this the other way. Hi Seema. Or we can just do this side a little bit more of a simple way. So just to show you how, if you wanted to keep it simple, what I would tend to do is almost stagger them. So I'd almost have like my sort of shorter, longer and longest. I might, just because this is looking a little bit, well, that being said, I might I'm just tempted to kind of go a little extra loop like so, just to pin that in. And then I'm going to go 1, 2 and 3. Now I've just gone by eye. These might be too long. It really doesn't matter. You can cut them down if you need to. And again, I'm just going to kind of just bring this down into a little bit of a spiral. I think that that's going to be a little bit long, so I'm going to just snip them a little bit again, shorter again, and then just using my pliers, I'm just going to bring that down into a nice swirl. That's just going to sit in place. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Now they can go in the same direction or they can go in different directions, up to you. Just gently bringing that into that little swirl. I'm just using my pliers just to get that curl. I'm actually going to place that so it sits just over the first one we did. Maybe just bring that around a little bit. Make sure there's no, so this when I held it like that, I could feel the sharp edge, and that's just because if you see, it's not a flush. So I can that's easily to fix. Just take your pliers and just flatten it, and then there's no sharp edge. And then finally, the last little spiral, just bringing that around, and then I can just place that to sit again, kind of on top of here. And then again, that looks even different again to this one. They're all going to look a little bit different. You can play about with the placement a little bit if you want to. If you think, actually, I want that to be a little bit more like so. I don't know. So you have that on one side, and then that on the other side. So that is your reversible. And remember to open out that bail just here to really finish off that look. And there's your reversible pendant. Now remember, you can use your wire, your weaving wire, that you do get extra wire in the kit. You can do that is simply wrapping 2 wires together and rolling it around. Or you could just do some weaving. I've actually got like a little sample of one because I was playing about with this. Again, you could do a woven bail like this. This is just the frame of a cabochon. Again, it was a different idea I was playing about with, but it wasn't secure enough for me. But you could do your weaving in the top here. You can do weaving down the side of this if you wanted to. Remember, we had that opportunity where we had technically your bail wires plus your 2 pairs. That would have done some weaving. You could do a little woven section coming down here if you wanted to. Lots of opportunities, but I wanted to keep this quite a nice, I feel like a good beginner to intermediate project you could just sit down and have a go at, and it's not too intimidating. Hi Debbie. I've been fighting the lights in the window. I hope you won. So Emmeline's in the UK, Milton Keynes. What's the weather like, Emmeline? It's not very nice in Bristol. Yolanda and Anastasia's. Oh God, they're not feeling too good. Hope you feel better soon. It is perfect, Joanne, for a last minute Christmas gift, 100%. And I just think it's really, you know, something like you've got that more simple tone or you've got that slightly more decorative. When you have a pendant like this, I always feel like sometimes it flips over. And even if it does, you can see here that this is the back of this one, and it's absolutely fine if it flips over. But I just think sometimes it's nice to have that reversible option as well to suit your outfit.
So there you go. That's your project. We'll just pop very quickly back over to Totallybeads so you can just see how you can get your hands on this. I'm just going to say one more thing as well very quickly. It's overcast and gloomy. It is. Oh no, Anastasia, that doesn't sound great. Well, hopefully 2025 will be better for you. So you'll see on a stone like this, one thing I'd say is if your stone is a little less of a solid color, obviously using that black, you can't see what's happening on the other side. But when you have a stone like this one, I don't know if you can see, but just my fingers just giving a shadow. So I'll try and show it. So if I've got my wire, let me just show you here. If there was a wire across the back, it's not so obvious on this one. This is a little bit more solid, but you see how you can see that on the back. So if you have a stone that has got a little bit more translucency to it, you may see that stone. That's actually quite more solid than I thought it would be in its color. So you can kind of see that wire work. So all I would say is if your stone does have a bit of transparency to it, hopefully you can see that shadow there. It's not massive, but I would stick to it being more similar in its, you just see the difference when you put something behind it. So I try to keep it quite symmetrical, mirrored on a piece that may have a little bit more transparency. I'm going to leave everybody with that. I hope you've had actually I'm going to very quickly take you back over to the website and then I'm going to leave you very quickly, just for those of you who have joined a little bit later. I'm just going to show you the kits that we have for today, which are basically these lovely gemstone cabochons. You can get them in the red jasper, the black obsidian, or the rose quartz. They're $7.99 at the moment. You get your gemstone cabochon, which is we measured it to be about 40 millimeters by 35. So really substantial gemstones there, along with your 1 mil wire and your 0.4 wire. Kept it quite plain and simple for the demonstration, but if you're confident with wire weaving, there is definitely enough wire there for you to be able to do some wire weaving in with it. I just kept it a little bit more on the beginner side, just for those of you who may not be so confident with that. So I hope you've enjoyed the project. If you do, go ahead and get them. Please let me know. I'd love to see your designs as always. Any questions, come and find me. I'm always happy to help if I can. I'm on Facebook as Laura Binding. I probably won't see you now until 2025, which is a very scary thing. I am going to be doing the holiday club. So if you're not aware of the holiday club, go check it out. It is on Totallybeads website. We will be doing 12 days of Christmas with Zoom videos and loads of beads and projects. So we'd love to see you there. That will be myself, Natalie, and of course Kitty. So that would be fantastic. But for now, I'd like to say thank you for all of your for joining me and supporting me and Totallybeads and everything throughout the year. Have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely Christmas if I don't see you before, and see you in the new year. Okay.